Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. Well, last weekend on Saturday, there was a protest in downtown Chicago at Federal Plaza over the current administration's using non-governmental employees to do stuff that and affect how the government spends money, which is unconstitutional really, because Congress, in our Constitution, Congress allocates money to be spent. Once they do that, you know, the executive branch has to do that. So, you know, there's three branches of government here in this country. A lot of people can't name them, but they're the legislative, the executive, and the judicial. And the legislative makes laws, the executive carries out the law, and the judicial enforces the law. So I was sort of not wanting to go with a big camera, so I took my little ZS-200 and shot most of it on that and some of it on my iPhone. But what I wanted to do today is talk a bit about citizen photojournalism. Because, as you might imagine, there's going to be a lot of things happening over the next several years that may require our grabbing video or photography and, you know, getting that uploaded. And so one of the things I want to make sure people understand is the freedom of the press here in the United States. If you're in a different country, laws are different, so bear that in mind. But the First Amendment here in the United States guarantees freedom of the press. That's not just for the press. Some people think, oh, I'm not a member of the press, that doesn't apply to me. No, it applies to everybody. If you're on public property and you see something happening that's newsworthy, you are within your rights to get photographs or video, or video. The current occupant of the White House is called the press, the enemy of the people in the past. Kind of makes you wonder what old Ben Franklin, who was a newspaper publisher, I wonder what he would think about that. Some tips to bear in mind if you're going to do this. One, kind of important, not really has anything to do with photography, probably important outside photography. Have a good lawyer. I'm fortunate that I know several, but there's one in particular that I know that if I got into a hot spot, he'd be the guy to call. So make sure you have an attorney, have them in your contacts in your phone, maybe put them on your favorites or speed dial, what have you, just in case something happens and you end up getting arrested with a bunch of other people. And that leads us right into the next thing, and that is let law enforcement do their jobs. If you're there observing and you are recording, don't interfere. Okay? 99% of officers, more than 99% of all law enforcement officers are doing their jobs. They're doing what they need to do. And, I totally support law enforcement. I have a very good friend who's a retired federal law enforcement officer. He's got some stories. I know many of the officers in my local area just because I am a photojournalist. In fact, the beat officer in downtown Oak Park is a pretty good friend of mine. When I see him, he's an EV guy, so we talk EVs. But make sure that you don't interfere. If you have to give distance, do that. There are times when you can get close while they're doing their jobs. Here's a shot that I got that's actually sold as stock, where I got pretty close. But they were busy arresting other people, and I didn't pose a threat. But you do have to assess the situation and make sure that if it looks like you might get arrested, step back. You know, like any other profession, there are bad apples in law enforcement. It's the way it is. So you want to make sure that if you run into one of those bad apples, it doesn't ruin your day or, you know, ruin your life. Then we come to equipment, and as I said before, I think that if you're a citizen photojournalist, you want to be a little bit discreet. You know, if you have a camera, that's fine, but using a phone, perfectly okay. And the advantages to a phone are pretty obvious. You take a video, you take a photo, you can get that uploaded to your social media and caption it and hashtag it and maybe tag some of your local journalistic organizations so that they can see it. In my case, what I do is I upload them to Alamy. So I have archival reportage privileges when I upload to Alamy, and what that means is that I can upload any image taken with just about any device, if it's newsworthy, and it'll go right past quality control and go up for sale relatively quickly, within 24 hours. That's probably not fast enough for some things. The reason I'm in that is because I used to be an LME News contributor, and I did that quite a bit. And they changed, they tightened up the guidelines to kind of make that submitting route only for full-time news photographers, which I wasn't at the time. So, but when they did that, I got an email from them saying, you know, you upload these news images and they very frequently sell as stock, so we're going to give you privileges to upload through the archival and reportage route. And so that's what I do. And those images from that protest last weekend, you know, I can go into my account in Alamy and see if people have clicked on them, and people already have. So I know those images are probably going to sell. So again, the phones are great. Now, if you're using a camera, modern cameras like this G9 Mark II, pretty sure that in the apps there's a simultaneous transfer function. Pretty sure Lumix Lab has it, where when you take a picture on the camera, that image is automatically transferred to the phone. So yeah, you could do that. I still think maybe using a phone is going to be a little easier. Plus, I've been having a heck of a time trying to connect to Lumix Lab. So I you know, you could do that, but I think using a phone is going to be easier for most people. So that's just a few tips for citizen photojournalism. Trying to think if I've neglected to mention anything. It's interesting times, and we need to, I think, when we see things happening that maybe there's an injustice being done or whatever, we need to record it. Again, we still have freedom of the press so far. We'll see what happens with that. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. I'll get to those as soon as I can. If this was useful, interesting to you, please hit the thumbs up button. It's a big help to me with the algorithm. I'm Todd Banner. I will see you next time.